Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Chaotic Town Hall.
Try to relax your anus. And it's surreal! And it's surreal!
Ladies and gentlemen, of the Chaotic Town Hall. Well, we got a good show in store for everybody here. Welcome, one and all, and I'd like to thank everybody for joining us on Twitter. Also, this is our second time. We are simulcasting on Twitter as well, and we will be doing that for the foreseeable future. I am, of course, the Tokyo Trekker, and want to welcome you all to this very exciting final show of 2022. And I want to bring up today's Legion panel, who you will be addressing for today's show. But before I do that, I just want to remind everybody, if you are new here, please click that like, subscribe, and click the bell notification icon so you can stay up to date with everything that's going on here on the Tokyo Trekker channel. Also, ladies and gentlemen, this is a show where you get to decide the narrative, you get to ask the questions, you get to force what we talk about. So you can participate by asking questions in the chat. I will be posting the link to come backstage if you want to come backstage and talk to us directly and be on camera for all the world to see. You're more than welcome to do so. We've also got our Discord channel open. Link is in the description of the video. It is free to join. You will never be asked to pay anything. All right. So with that out of the way, folks, I want to bring up and introduce today's panel. You know everybody here, but I'm going to introduce everybody once again, in case you're all new to the party. Joining me first in the Gamma Quadrant position next to me is the Lord of all things trivia and Star Trek. He is the entity from the Great Barrier of Shakari. Give it up for John DeMarco.
Greetings, everyone.
And occupying the Delta Quadrant today, she is my running mate in the upcoming elections. She is also one of the smartest and the most knowledgeable Star Trek people that I know. One of. And looking forward to seeing her on Jeopardy one of these days. Give it up for my good friend Janet from another planet. In the Alpha Quadrant, my opponent. And representing the Federation, the Cardassian Empire, the Ferengi Alliance, and all of those Alpha Quadrant species you know and love, it is Mr. President.
Oh boy. Greetings.
And fittingly enough, last but most certainly not least, in the Beta Quadrant position, representing the Klingons, the Romulans, the Andorians, and all of the other species that you know and love from the original series, he is the one, the only Kurogan. Best Kurogan on Earth. Birdo Prey 5.
Hello, world. It's Birdo Prey 5. Cup block.
And I want to give a special shout out today to everybody in the chat who I didn't give a shout out to during the opening crawl. Mr. Londell's Groovy Movies, welcome. And Robert Rose Jr. Brad Wolf 07 is also joining us for the party. Welcome, everybody, one and all. All right, so here is the link. It will now be pinned to the chat. If you want to come join us backstage and address the Legion with your questions or topics you want to talk about, feel free to do so. Just click on that link, and we will bring you on. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring it to you, everybody in the chat, everybody that's watching. If you don't have a question, we'll go on to one of our topics here. All right, so while we are at it and waiting for a question from the audience, I got the ticker going downstairs here. Let's talk about James Gunn taking over the DCEU and basically nuking it. If you haven't heard any of the news lately, James Gunn has canceled Wonder Woman 3. He has ordered, rumors has it, that he has ordered the deletion of all of the Superman footage from the Flash movie and put Man of Steel 2 on indefinite development hell. So I want to throw it to the Legion here. What do you guys think? You guys can go in any order. And as soon as we get a question from the panel, we will go ahead and address the panel, or from the chat, we'll go ahead and address that. So take it away, Legion.
None of that makes any sense to me. I don't know who James Gunn is, and I don't know what's in the DCU. So, pass.
I'm in pretty much the same position as Bird. Embarrassingly, as soon as you said James Gunn, I was like, who? Wasn't it? So pass on that for me as well.
Well, I do know who James Gunn is, although I haven't really been following what he's been doing with the DCEU very closely.
And Brad Wolf 07 says, if Wonder Woman 3 is anything like Wonder Woman 1984 ended up being, I fully support James Gunn. Now, if you're not familiar with James Gunn, which a lot of you are apparently not, he was the director
of the Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad. He did Guardians of the Galaxy, the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Mired in controversy about some really nasty tweets. And then he was given the keys to the DCEU.
Well, I think it's smart. Everything he's doing is shutting it down and he's going to start from scratch. maybe we'll get some halfway decent stuff.
That would be nice.
Yay!
Well, there were some.
I
Good
mean,
things.
I'd rather see something that's at least made an effort to make it good to watch than some piece of shit that someone who doesn't even care about our characters makes a movie and forces us to try to watch it. Someone who has a little bit of love for a character is going to make a better product than someone who doesn't care about them at all. That's how I see it.
Okay, fair
And
enough.
I thought he did a good job making Suicide Squad. So, I mean, and maybe someone doesn't agree with me, but I definitely think it's way better than some of the other shite that we've seen coming out of some of the other Marvel movies being made.
And Mr. Lawndell says gun canceling things might be what DC needs. They were so messed up over there at Warner. Let's see what he does with things before we pass judgment.
Yeah,
I agree. I agree. I actually like James Gunn's style. I'm not by any stretch of the imagination judging him personally. I like his movies. He was a good director. I didn't care about the nasty tweets because that's what the media does. They take anything out of
freedom of
context.
speech where people can say whatever they want, but
Right.
it's at the box office is where we get to make our decisions on where they're going to make money. All I heard was a bunch of bashing for what was it, Top Gun Maverick, from a bunch of the people on Twitter about how it's going to be a piece of shite because it's not going to be woke and all this different stuff. And what happened to it? It made a buttload of money, and
Yep.
that should be the most important thing. And people left happy and went to see it again. So our pocketbook is what's going to make it successful.
And I see John is changing his avatar to Wei
Although it was appropriate since I'm representing the Gamma Quadrant.
All hail the conquering Dominion.
I mean, I really felt Wonder Woman was just garbage. And I felt bad for all the actors that were in it. I know they got paid well to do it, but I'd been ashamed to have been a woman that was raping a guy because she wanted to have sex with somebody else. You know what I mean? It just, to me, it was pathetic. And if a man had been in the part of the woman, if it had been Superman raping some woman, I think it would have been up in arms. But, and I'm a woman, and I think it was disgusting. But there you go.
I've never seen it. Is that really what happened in the movie? That's extraordinary.
Well, the guy, who's not going to want to sleep with Gal Gadot? I mean, honestly, but it still wasn't. It was someone else's body that somebody was in, and to me, that's having sex with someone against their will, basically. At least that's how I viewed it. But since it was a woman, Hollywood figured it was fine to do it that way, and I still don't agree. I thought it was pretty shiny.
Yeah. Hollywood often has double standards like that. Like, I agree with Law Reloaded with his comment over the episode where Trip on Enterprise, the non-canon show that everyone raves about, he was impregnated against his will. And I agree with you, Janet. If that part, if it happened to a female crew member, that wouldn't get past the editors and the censors. But because it had happened to a male character, they acted like the person who impregnated him did nothing wrong, and they started talking about his responsibilities to his upcoming child. So a complete double standard. Same thing that you're talking about in the Wonder Woman movie. So based on what you told me about the Wonder Woman movie, I completely agree.
Well, in the case of Trip Tucker, in that instance, that's what you get for sticking your hands in a strange substance without scanning it with your tricorder first.
Yeah,
I would be remiss to not point out, though, that in DS9, Cisco slept with Mira Jadzia, not knowing, not pretending to be Mirror Cisco, and all he got was a little slap in the face at the end.
Oh, yeah, that's bad as well in my book. Gotta apply standards equally. So
Well, that just goes to
Thanks for
show
pointing
also that Ben Sisko is a pimp in any universe.
Well,
That's why my avatar is the way it is. Cisco is the man.
well, I just think it's sad that, anything that has to pertain to certain things. I mean, if it's in the plot, like it's a story about a rape or, remember there was a TV show and it had the guy from Enterprise, and he would go through, he was trying to fix a flip in time or whatever.
Quantum Leap.
What is it?
Quantum Leap.
Yeah,
with
Quantum
Scott
Leap. Now,
Bakula.
see, that was great. And every week we got to see him be in someone else's body and him trying to figure things out and straighten things out. But he had the knowledge of the other person. Okay. Um, and so it worked because that was the way that was written in the script. But in today's setup, the way things are, it's very lopsided. If you're a white male, I mean, if you're anything, you can't be a macho guy. You can't be, I mean, the only time they even treat you halfway decent if you're a white male is if you're gay, or if you're a transgender, or if you're a thug. If you're beating people up and you're a scumbag, then you get, treated pretty decently. But if you're a straight white male, they always make you out to be the bad guy no matter what. I mean, you're bad to women, or you hate animals, or you're an alcoholic, or, it's gotten so far out in left field that it's ruining the overall storytelling. I mean, if they would just go back to just telling the story and there was supposed to be a rape in it or something like that, then it goes with the story, like with old Indian shows where, the mean white guys or the mean cowboys would kidnap an Indian maiden, and then the tribe would have to go save her. Or same thing with cavemen and, cave women or whatever. If it fits the script, then it should be in there. But when they do it blatantly, obviously showing you that because it's a woman, it's not a bad thing. You see what I mean? Because of the woke agenda, that that kind of stuff it ruins it for me. I'm sick and tired of having agendas in our stories. I mean, I wish it would just let it be a story and let us be entertained by it instead of trying to cram stuff down our throat.
Preach.
That's all I have to say. Sorry.
Preach. Keep
I'm
going.
bad at it.
Preach.
I got not to. I mean, I disagree a little bit in that I'm okay with agenda as long as we see both sides. And I think the Orville did that terrifically in season 1 with episodes like About a Girl and Majority Rule and others, where they present us with options. They don't make a real stand as to what is 100% right or wrong. That they're open to the fact that there are two ways of seeing things. And I would say those episodes had agendas, but they were well done and balanced, and I watched them over and over again.
Well, yeah, if it's got a good balance to the story and it's not so blatantly obvious that it's an agenda, it's actually a story and it's entertaining. That's what I'm talking about. There's tons of those types of entertainment shows to watch, whether it's television, a web series, a movie, or short. It's just plenty of it. It's just that it's getting to be farther and farther in between. And it seems like they're taking more and more of these types of stories, our sci-fi, our nerddom shows and comic book shows and things like that, and using those to push an agenda on them and taken away from the overall storytelling that was told, many years ago. And to me, they're just, I don't know, it's like they're tearing down our heroes and they don't want us to have heroes anymore, whether it's a man or a woman. And there's plenty of characters that are bisexual, gay, or lesbian in all those aspects. So, that's not what I'm talking about when it comes to an agenda. If the character's already gay or lesbian or bi or whatever, that's fine. I don't have a problem with it because that's the way the story was originally written. But when they take our stories that we loved growing up reading and we loved the characters for the detail that the writer put into it, and the cartoonist worked with the writer to make a vivid, loving character that we fall in love with, and then turn it into something it's not supposed to be at all, just because someone who never read it, never read the stories or anything, or watched them growing up, decided that's the point of view they wanted to cram down our throat. Sorry.
And for that is a good segue into Robert Roses Jr.'s question here. What about the new Indiana Jones movie, though? Now Indiana is going to be erased from the timeline altogether and is being replaced with a female. I'm giving that to you guys.
Well, I don't feel comfortable commenting on it because I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen the trailer or anything, and I don't want to. It might be really good. I mean, I haven't seen anything about it.
Filming Kathleen Kennedy.
Oh.
I've heard that's I've heard that's the rumor about the story, but I don't know for sure if that's actually going to happen or not because we still got the time to wait on the actual movie.
Yeah, assuming that is true, it's terrible. But I think we're a long way from knowing that for sure. Don't get me wrong, I know I've seen the videos, I've heard the evidence. It sounds like it's plausible, but there's no proof for sure yet.
I would echo Janet. Well, all three comments on that. If it's true, I don't even want to watch it. There's no need to gender swap a beloved character that's been around for years, so I won't have my memory of Indiana tainted. But I mean, I guess it depends how they do it. Is it going to be a relative of Indiana, or is it going to be Indiana? We'll pretend that Indiana the male doesn't even exist. If it's that, hang on. Someone else read that for me because I'm not a quick reader. Sorry, but I agree with Bird, Janet, and John. We'll wait to see if the rumors are confirmed or not. But if it is true, I won't be bothering to watch a single new Indiana movie because I don't want my memory of the true Indiana being intruded on in my mind.
And Brad Wolf 07 says they made 5 or 6 endings and screened several of them. No word which of the terrible endings they're going to go with. And he follows up with Mr. President. It's Indy's goddaughter who replaced dead old and young, and dead young Indy. All right.
Since it's a goddaughter, I guess that's not quite as bad because they're not pretending that Indy we know never existed. They're just saying here's a relative following in his footsteps. So
no, if the rumors are true, that he literally goes back in time, kills his accidentally or purposely kills his younger self, and then the woman is shown in all the famous montage of scenes from Raiders of the Lost Ark and all the other movies as literally being in his place all the time.
If that is true, that is unnecessary male bovine excrement, if I can use that term.
Bird, you can say the word.
Sorry?
Bird can say the word for you. The way he says it is poetic.
Bullshit.
There it is.
A lot of bullshit. It's all bullshit. I'll be honest on bullshit. I mean, did nobody see Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull? I mean, why are we even talking about this? How much worse could the Crystal Skull movie have been for us to not want to even see another movie?
That's true. I keep forgetting about that one because I'm blocking it from my mind.
Hi, Gorilla. Hi, Minnie.
Sorry, Tokyo. What was
no, Gorilla said hi.
Oh, sorry, girl. Hi. Anyway, yeah. There's no need for them to go back in time and literally kill Indy off. That just feels to me like they're going out of the way. They're going out of their way to piss off long-term fans. I mean, that's worse. I mean, saying he has a goddaughter that followed in his footsteps, that would be actually a decent approach. But if the rumors are true, then that's just wanton destruction of the franchise, and you just feel like the woke people are saying, "Oh, we know you love this, so we're gonna destroy it." It's like a big fuse of the fans for no logical reason. Um,
And
yeah.
Brad Wolf 07 says, that is what you get with Kathleen Kennedy. Her hatred of men and men's accomplishments is astounding. The woman is jealous as.
Guess what? I agree with him 100% because that is put very well. I mean, I always wondered in the back of my mind why Kathleen Kennedy seemed to hate everything that she made. It's like every single thing that she's made since she's been there has been shite. Pretty much. And it's because that's it. Exactly what he said. She hates men. I mean, now that I think about it, that's the only answer that's logical to the stuff that she's been involved in. So she definitely needs to get laid.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
she
that
needs
was my.
something. I think that would put a smile on her face, and she might realize that all men aren't the enemy. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't
Well,
know what else to
that
say, but
I'm,
I agree with that
I'm
100%.
thinking if she hates men, the last thing she wants to do is get laid by men. She might not be attracted to men.
yeah.
So I don't think,
That was the
uh,
impression I got of Andor. One of the coolest characters to come out of Rogue One. The show wasn't even about him; it was about his mother.
Yeah.
Gorilla's chiming in with a two-parter. For part one, he says, "What's your thoughts on them replacing iconic characters by gender swapping, race swapping, making them okay?" We're gonna have to repeat this question or repeat this answer. What do you think about them replacing iconic characters by gender swapping, race swapping, making them LGBT to pander to those groups? Personally, I think it's a slap in the face to those. The follow-up says groups by giving them washed up and used up character instead of creating exciting new characters.
Well, I think I answered that earlier when I said that I feel like they're taking our beloved heroes and changing them into something they weren't meant to be simply because they hate them. And there's plenty of other characters in all the different stories where they could find inspiration and stuff if they want to push an agenda of a certain type instead of pushing it with a character that never was meant to be that character. Use a fresh new character, and maybe they'll get a whole new following of people simply by letting the character be what it was intended to be in the first place. Does that make any sense?
Yep. Mr. Londell says, I thought Kathleen Kennedy was married to the guy who directed Congo. I'm not sure about that. Possibly.
I'm not either. I don't know for sure, but she must have really hated the guy or still hate him.
All right,
She
folks.
was married to Frank Marshall, who I know did a whole bunch of Hollywood stuff. He produced all of the Indiana Jones films.
And folks, I'm going to actually put a pin on new topics because I'd be very remiss in not mentioning this development that happened this week. We lost Kirstie Alley. And as if you're not familiar with why Kirstie Alley's loss is a big impact for the Star Trek universe, she was the original Lieutenant Saavik in her debut movie, which was Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. So I want to throw it to you guys about Kirstie Alley and how you'll remember her.
Well, I think she did a great job in Star Trek 2, which was always the thing I know her from most of all. She played a Vulcan very well. She was not controlled emotions, but you could still tell she had them simmering under the surface. They bubbled up a couple times. So just in general, I think she's going to be missed.
Yeah, I think she was a wonderful actress, and she was a good person in real life. Her and her husband Parker Stevenson adopted 2 children, a girl and a boy. They seemed really happy, but things didn't seem to work out over time. But she was also on a TV show, a couple other TV shows, but Cheers was one of her really big ones, next to her being Lieutenant Saavik in Star Trek. But she loved her character on Star Trek, as she worked very hard to make her character believable and beautiful. So I'm gonna miss her a lot. I mean, to me, she was an icon. And she wasn't really that old. I think she was, what, 71?
71.
Yeah. So
Cancer is a heck of a
she was
thing.
good inside and out.
Alpha, beta quadrants?
I can echo a lot of what he said. As John said, I think he played a Vulcan beautifully. There were a couple of times when very occasionally, she slightly lost control of her anger, and I mean very slightly. But that was on purpose, because back then they thought that she was going to be half Romulan, but there were changes to the story, as far as I understand. So I think she did a superb job in Star Trek 2. I think I saw her in reruns of Cheers as well. Um, what I got annoyed with, and this is going on a slight tangent, but please be with me. The New Zealand news media, at least on the channel I saw, coverage of her death was not good enough, because all they said was Kirstie Alley, beloved actress, has died at the age of 71. All they mentioned was her role on Cheers, and the fact that for many years she was the spokesman slash main advertiser for Jenny Craig, and I was outraged that our stupid media in New Zealand did not mention her involvement in Star Trek at all, and I think that's just crazy. I mean, I know Star Trek, at least back in the day, wasn't considered fully mainstream, I guess. But come on, we're talking about Star Trek 2, one of the most regarded Star Trek films of all time, and they didn't even give it a mention over here. And also, I'd like to this other comment. I don't know if I'm going to handle it well enough, but I would say, even though I also like the actress that played Saavik in Star Trek 3, her name escapes me, my apologies, but sometimes I think about Kirstie Alley's Saavik, and I think it's a shame that she couldn't have carried on in Star Trek 3. And actually, there was another brief appearance in Star Trek 4, I believe, or was there?
Yes, those 4.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I can't remember if that was on the included or was that on the extra scenes. But so I sometimes think it's a shame that Kirstie Alley couldn't carry on playing for the other 2 movies. But and I agree with what Professor Brainy Specs said a moment ago, because that line was very short. I was able to read it quick enough. He said Saavik was his favorite female Vulcan. I would agree with that both in terms of both Star Trek 2 and Star Trek 3 character-wise. Definitely favorite female Vulcan professor. Yeah, so those are my thoughts, and just so sad that the New Zealand media, as always, didn't give Star Trek actors and actresses justice, and yeah, I'm just really annoyed as a Star Trek fan. I didn't mention Star Trek thing once. Who
Brad,
Star Trek involvement once. All right, I'll let. Sorry if I've been hogging it too long. I'll back to you, Token.
Brad Wolf says I read somewhere that they hired her for Star Trek because she looked half Vulcan and half Romulan. Uh, there was a lot of rumor about Savick and Valeris being half Vulcan, half Romulan.
Mhm. Yeah, I always hoped in the back of my mind that they would make another movie and she would have had Spock's child. And because of the Pong Far when he was being rejuvenated.
Yep,
It's a
I was
little.
thinking the same thing.
Well, it wasn't
She could have been
her
pregnant.
character; it was the other girl. But
Yeah.
I'd always hoped that would happen. The other girl that was the Romulan, remember, or the Vulcan girl that helped him when they saved him from the
Well,
planet.
it's
Oh yeah,
the
that was
same
Savick.
same
That's the same character.
character, just two different actors, but same character all the way through.
Yeah, but I'd always hoped that, but it never did happen. But that would have been a great series, I think, if they were to make a TV series or something
Well,
based on that
it
whole
would
aspect.
The
it would have
implication of
been
that scene is
problematic
illegal.
because of the age
Well,
difference.
it's romantic.
It's romantic, but he was a teenager.
I
She
know,
was-
but still, yeah, but it's years later. You wouldn't have to
Yeah.
go into too much detail about how it happened because it was in a very strenuous time, and the planet was collapsing. It was, there was so much chaos going on at the time, and he was in excruciating pain, and she was just there to to comfort him. So it was like it's like almost like, well, I won't even say, but I just think that would have been very interesting that maybe if they would have had a child,
Yeah,
a
well,
twin,
their
something like that.
survival was at stake because he was linked to the planet, and his pond fire would have
And
destroyed the planet if she didn't calm him down. John, correct me if I'm wrong, but the original treatment for Star Trek 4, going on what Janet was saying, was that Savick was really staying behind because she was pregnant.
Yes, that's what I heard, but it just never made it into the final version of the movie.
So, since you guys brought this topic up, I was thinking of talking about it, but I wasn't sure if it was too spicy. But since you guys opened that door, I'll ask, and is it theoretic? I don't know because I'm bad at visualizing ages. Anyway, but when Spock was doing the rapid aging and so forth, um, do you think at the time of the Pon Far and the time of Savick, in quotes, comforting him, unquotes, do you think it's likely that he would have been the Vulcan equivalent of 18, or do you think he would have been younger than 18? I'm saying
Well,
18 because that's the age of consent in the US.
regardless of his biological age, he certainly would have been a physical maturity to the point that she wouldn't have become pregnant if he wasn't.
yeah,
So,
It's,
and the fact that because of the accelerated process of the planet, then her pregnancy would have been accelerated too.
that's true. But I mean, let's be honest. Physical maturity is not the same as proper age of consent because you can,
well, to a point, I mean, understand, I don't think age of consent exists as we know it in the future. If it does, Neelix would be under arrest. For Comp has only lived to be 9 years old.
Yeah.
So I mean, how would that work?
Yeah, and
Spock,
plus we have to remember too, and other planets and other races were totally different on the age and lifespan, and everything was different than humans from the planet Earth. So
That's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
there's that
And
race in the
would be
Delta
totally
Quadrant that aged backwards.
So I'm just
even
saying, I don't think that would really be that much of a problem if you didn't focus too much on exactly when, the
Yeah,
conception happened.
fair enough.
even under
I
current
might be overthinking it, and if I am, I apologize.
even under current U.S. law, there are exceptions. I mean, there are people who can get married below the age of consent, and depending on the state, you
Mm-hmm.
can get married at, I think, 14 or 15 years old in some states with
Yep.
parental consent. And then the other fact of law is that which is necessary is legal. If it's a bigger, if a bigger crime can be saved by a smaller crime, it's not only is it not a crime, it's not a crime to begin with. And if somebody was going to die if they didn't have intercourse, it's probably a legal thing to do that, especially if both parties are consenting.
And Brad Wolf says, "Yep, Neelix dated a 1-year-old."
Was even Savick said in Star Trek 3 they experienced Pon 4 every 7th year of their adult life, so apparently by a Vulcan definition, he must have been an adult.
Well,
Yes.
Yeah,
even
that's
so,
true.
you have to go back to how old Spock was when he died, because that's how old he really was. Even as a little child, Spock, he was still the age that he was be at when he died. So if you're looking at age as a factor, it's
I don't know if I'd go with that. I mean, 5-year-old looking Spock, I don't know that you could say, well, he's 36 years old or whatever.
And plus, you got to remember, wasn't he? Savick is the reason why he was able to learn a lot of the things that he needed to learn once he became old enough to understand.
I assume she melded with him or something.
Yeah, there was
Gave
mind
him a
meld and
little
all that. So I'm
head
just
start.
saying, I don't think he knew everything. It was once he'd got the mind meld, once he was replaced with Spock's past, and he remembered who he was and all his memories.
Mr. Londell follows up with Cass was an adult Ocampan. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
I don't think age again. There's no concept of an age number, and I don't think we really have to really worry about that in the Star Trek fantasy universe, especially when you're looking at races that again age backwards.
okay.
So
I apologize for overthinking it, guys, and maybe I was. Yeah, I hope I didn't make you guys uncomfortable by bringing up that issue.
no, that's just something that we could possibly talk about on a 4-hour live stream, which this is not. It's a long conversation. It's just long and just how do I say, the philosophy behind it could take days to debate.
Yeah.
I also want to go into one more piece of news before I hand it back to the chat. Actually, you guys can chime in the chat, join us backstage, leave a comment on the Discord server and submit your questions there. We'll address them live. If you're watching this on replay, first of all, thank you very much for joining us and watching this on the replay. Submit your questions below. We will get to them when we have the second half of the season premiere in January. That should be in about 4 weeks or so. Another piece of news that I came across on Trek Movie was that Michelle Yeoh, and if you're not familiar with Michelle Yeoh's involvement with Star Trek, consider yourself lucky. She plays Captain Giorgio and Space Hitler. She's Icon of the Year. And there it is on the ticker right now. Thoughts on this one? By the way, she's also still delusional, expects Section 31 should actually happen. I'll doke in it to you guys.
Hmm.
Well, I think Michelle Yeoh is a good actress, and she was wasted in the way they used her in Discovery.
And I think that's the mic
Yeah.
drop.
Yeah, I agree. She was wasted.
I think my laughter at you saying, consider yourself lucky if you didn't see it, says it all, really.
It's the truth, though.
Yeah. I agree with you. That's why I laughed so hard. I'm sorry to interrupt the way I did with my laughter.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's a
It was,
perfectly legit reaction to the truth.
yeah. Um, I haven't seen her on anything other than that horrible show that should never been produced,
The
so
true
I can't
non-canon
comment
show.
on that's far worse than the non-canon show Enterprise, just for the record. Um, um, so I can't comment on her acting abilities, but it's interesting that she got what was that award title again?
Icon of the Year
It's
2022.
interesting that she got the Icon of the Year award. I'm guessing, well, I'm hoping that it has nothing to do with her being space hopper. I'm hoping it's something that I'm not aware of in her career. Maybe she's done a lot of charity work or something that I'm not aware of. But if she got Icon of the Year based on her involvement with that disgusting show that is called Star Trek only for legal reasons, in my opinion, um, then God knows what whoever gave the award was thinking, because yeah, that kind of the character that she played should not be encouraged, in my opinion.
I'm pretty sure it didn't have anything to do with Discovery. She was in some movies that did well, I think.
Okay,
At least that's what I'm told.
Yeah.
I just was
okay.
like, WTF when I read this. And then people told me, well, she's the, I don't know, most successful Asian actress of the year.
Oh,
Well,
well, that's
whatever.
good then. Good for her.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that there's nothing to do. I refuse to even say that show's name. Just that pile of puke that should never have been produced. That is only called Star Trek based on legal reasons. Because of ownership of the franchise. But I'm glad it had nothing to do with her role there. Um,
And let me ask Mr. Londell, who says Michelle Yeoh should stick to martial arts movies. It's her forte. Yeah, I agree with that, but I want to ask, have you seen Crazy Rich Asians? She was amazing in that movie. She played the perfect biatch. She was great. I don't know if you've seen that, Mr. Londell. If you haven't, I highly, highly recommend you giving that a chance. It is a really good movie. It's not woke. I think it was produced right before the woke bug actually bit. Um, and if I'm wrong, then about the timeline of that movie, it's still good. It's not woke at all. It's fantastic. I would highly recommend you see it if you haven't. Robert Rose Jr. says, though, if we go all the way back to the TOS episode where everyone was infected with the virus that made everyone drunk, and we got Spock's cold warp engine start formula, and they went back in. This is probably multi-part.
That's the naked time.
Yeah. Everybody's doing each other. Here's the second half of the question. Went back in time for several days. Which Enterprise and crew have we been following since then into the TOS movies also? Ooh.
that's
This
a
is
tough one. I think that deserves its own stream.
But it's the same crew. It just there was a brief period of time where there was two of them in two separate places. Basically, once they caught up to the point where they time traveled back in time, there would just be one of them going forward.
be honest, the time travel aspect of that episode does my head in because if they go back in time, they went back in time, and then they kind of caused the naked now, the naked time bars not to become a thing because they wouldn't go back and do the same thing. And yet it's recorded in Star Trek history as being happened because it's been referenced in a few other episodes of Trek, or at least two other episodes of Trek, The Naked Now and The Next Generation. And there was a Lower Decks reference to it. But the time travel aspect of it is kind of like it's one of the paradoxes that kind of makes your brain hurt if you think about it too much. Did it actually happen in the end or not? Because of going back in time and then thus avoiding it. So, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think we've got an idea. Don't mean for the silence. Yeah, I just want to also give out like a quick 10-minute warning, folks. We're going to be wrapping this up very soon. So if you want to get your questions in, folks, if you're watching us live, please do so right now. Once again, you can join us still backstage. The link is still pinned at the top of the active chat, and join us back here on the show to address the Legion with your questions or topics you'd like to talk about. Again, if you don't want to do that, you can submit your questions or inquiries as you have been doing here in the chat or on our Discord server. So I'm going to throw it back to the audience here. Is there anything else you'd like to talk to us about before we start our closing statements? Floor is now open. It's always been open. And crickets at one moment. Okay, so I think we do have something coming. Brad Wolf, I believe.
I apologize, but I actually have to go. Thank you for letting me
all right.
stay, for letting me get this far.
Bird.
We'll talk to you guys soon. Okay.
Do you want to plug real quick? Do you have a couple seconds to plug?
If anybody's interested, check out my channel, BirdoPray5 or BirdoPray5.com. I do mostly Star Trek comments, reviews, and we do live streams, usually talking about Trek and sci-fi, pop culture, and stuff of that nature. Thank you all.
Thank you, Bird, and you're more than welcome to come back anytime, my friend. Everybody check out Bird of Prey 5's channel. Thank you, Bird, for joining us.
I appreciate it. Have a good night.
Hey, Bird.
There you go.
Have a good night.
All right, so now let's go ahead and put John over here. There we go, and we'll put Janet back in the Delta Quadrant and leave me and Mr. President down here in contention for the Federation. Brad Wolf.
We'll just wait and see with the opponent. We'll just wait and see.
Brad Wolf has challenged me to a question. It says, what crossover for different franchises would you have loved to see? Personally, I would smartly like to see a Star Trek Star Wars if it's done right. It is the ultimate nerdgasm, but it has to be done right. It can't be done right now with the current state of our franchises. Back in the 90s, yeah, I could see it happening. Everybody would be drooling over it, but if you put it out now, it would just be one big garbled mess of crap and agenda, and I definitely don't want to see it produced by the current producers. Professor Brainy Specs says, why are these seasons too short anymore? Back in my day, we get 24, 26 episodes in a season, with the mid-season around the 12 or 13 episode mark. Yeah, right? I
I'd
know.
like
Well, for
I'd like-
one, we can't afford it. I mean, everything is so expensive today, and your actors, when your actors like on Big Bang Theory, when each actor was making $1 million an episode, you really wouldn't make any money. You couldn't sell enough commercials for the show to make a profit and pay the writers and all the makeup artists and the boom operators, everyone you need to make a show. So you could only make so many episodes compared to what we used to a long time ago when it was cheap.
I have a theory, but I'll let everyone else go first. Then I'll tell you my theory. What do you think, John?
Well, there's probably a lot of factors to go into that. One issue might be that today there's a big prevalence of I lost the word for a second. Serialized storytelling. There it is. Instead of having a bunch of standalone episodes with an occasional overarching storyline that pops up. And when you have every episode of the season relates to one storyline, I would imagine it's hard to sustain that type of story for 24 episodes. Why you only end up with like 10 or 12.
It's a good point, John. Although, I think of Babylon 5 that was pretty serialized as well, but I'm just trying to think of how many episodes were directly in the main arc and how many had a reference to the main arc but had other things going on. My theory was that unfortunately people are just getting dumbed down with as in like addicted to their cell phones. There's so much going on, and playing games on cell phones that are just that I wouldn't even consider proper games back in the day. They're just um, little things to trigger quick dopamine responses. I just feel like society as a whole, um, as the years go by, and this could just be um, old man syndrome talking here because I am getting old, but it just feels like with every new generation, attention spans are going down and down and down. So the new audience can't, is coming of age today can't handle um, seasons that are too long. Their attention spans can't take it. Janet could be right about the cost issue, but also I mean, if you think about the special effects costs and things like that, that puke that starts with D costs more to produce than special. It was made with a movie budget every episode as opposed to a TV budget. Um, the episodes of classics, classic TV used to make. So it's really hard to pick on one one factor that's causing it. I think John's theory is very good, and maybe I'm wrong. In regard to Janet's theory, maybe I'm wrong about actors' salaries. Maybe it has gone way up compared to it was in the 90s, but it just feels like um, act industry spending more money on special effects and things of that nature than they used to spend anyway. So it's not like they're really saving any money, in my opinion, by making really short season franchises. Um, yeah. Back the floor is yours again. Thanks.
Okay. Our final question is going to come to us from Robert Rose Jr. It says, in a lot of ways, does aliens hold up tech-wise, though? For example, we have drones and robots nowadays. The military uses both nowadays. What do you guys think of that?
So you're talking about the aliens from Star Trek or from general movies or from the movie Aliens?
That's a good question.
um, I mean, I don't know. Depending on what the question is. But back then things were made on sound stages, and now they do green screen, CGI, all types of things today, even in TV shows, which makes the cost go through the roof. So,
And it is the Aliens movie from the Alien franchise.
okay, well, I think Aliens, the way they did the Aliens movies, I think it still stands up now compared to a lot of the CGI and stuff that they use today. I mean, sometimes I wish, like the movie American Werewolf in London, the work that they went through. It won an Academy Award for special effects for an actual horror movie. Is that the ingenuity it took for the monster, creature people to create and stuff to make something that was actually very realistic and believable, which captured the people that were watching it. So it's the same thing with the creature, that they use garbage bags and wire and plastic hangers and all kinds of whatever they could get a hold of to make the creature from the very first Alien movie. And they did an excellent job because they used the imagination, camera angles, and lighting to basically, and then a lot of like baby oil and some other different stuff to make the slimy mixture and all this different stuff. So they did a great job. And if we could have more young, I mean, if you still watch some of these B-rate movies coming out today, you have a lot of young up and coming directors and creature makers that are using their imagination. And still, I've heard a lot of people say this B movie was so good, it was so believable, and this, that, and the other, because people were willing to sit down and watch it and use their imagination too as they watch it. So I think that there's plenty of good stuff out there if you just want to, take a gander at it. And I think that so far it's held up really well, in my point of view.
John and Mr. President, final words on the topic?
Do you want to go, John? And then I'll go.
Sure, but I'll be real quick because I'm not very familiar with the Aliens franchise, so I can't really comment on it.
Okay. I'm not very familiar with the Alien franchise either, and they're on my to-do list to watch. But I was just gonna say, in general, I think if the story, speaking from my own experience, if the storytelling is really good, you can overlook a lot of the primitive technology, back in the day. I mean, I still get really immersed when I have time to watch. I still get really immersed in classic Star Trek, and it doesn't. If I'm immersed in it, I don't think of how 60s technology, that standard by then was primitive compared to the later tricks, for example. The story's so good you kind of forget about the believability of of the sets and so forth. At least that's that's my experience. I can't speak for everyone, but that's just how I feel. Back to you, Tokyo.
Okay, thank you guys. And I just realized before we sign out here and do our plugs that we have an excellent opportunity for somebody to Photoshop this screenshot right here and create a tail of the tape, because this is the election matchup right here. Let me kill the background here.
I will
and
just
you'll be
turn
able to
on
see
my
what I'm looking
camera
at.
since I don't have an avatar.
Man, let me change my avatar back correctly here. If I can I do it from down here? Edit avatar. I need to do the burning Romulan. Actually, no, Romulans. Well, they're both Romulan senators. One's just burning alive. There we go.
Yeah.
Mr. President and his running mate John versus Tokyo Checker and my running mate Janet. There we go.
Yeah.
This is a preview of the brawl for it all. All right, on a more serious note, folks, let's go ahead and do 1 minute plugs, and then we will wrap it up for this first half of season 2. We'll start off, ladies first, with my awesome running mate Janet from another.
Okay. Join me on Monday nights when I'm on Bruce Lombardo's channel, Bruce Lombardi of the Dick's Division, and we do movie reviews on Monday night. And the movie coming up on Monday night is Logan's Run. So I'm going to be real excited about that one. It's a very old, good sci-fi classic. And then Tuesday night, I'm on Drew Taylor's channel, The Supreme Heretic, and we're going to be the United Resistance, talking about politics and all kinds of fun stuff that's going on around the world. And then the rest of the week, I'll do a few of my shorts, and I'll also be reading from my book, Revelation. So thank you.
Awesome. Who's next?
I'll let John go.
Thank you. Over on my channel on Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern, we'll be doing our usual Jeopardy with the board designed by Professor Brady Specs. It's mostly Star Trek with some other sci-fi thrown in occasionally. And we take contestants from the audience. So if you'd like to try your hand with some trivia against some other nerds, feel free to check it out.
And I have nothing to plug because I don't have another channel, but I would just say I'm looking forward to the election. I'm looking forward to actually putting out a campaign video. I've been really busy lately, so sorry guys, I should have had it out before now, but I'm looking forward to it, and may the best candidate for president and vice president win. I'm honoured to have Fleet Admiral John DeMarco as my running mate. So looking forward to that. On a serious note, I know that the holiday season is fast approaching us. So whatever your beliefs and customs, I hope everyone enjoys. I hope I'm not too early in saying this because there won't be a town hall before Christmas. So I hope everyone has a Merry Christmas and a safe Christmas and is able to get together with family and friends and have a really good time. I guess would be my statements. And thank you, Tokyo, and to my fellow panel members for letting me join in. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you to the audience. I really enjoy coming on this show. So,
Very well said, Mr. President. Thank you so much for joining us. And folks, before we depart here, I'm going to leave you with the preview of, if you guys haven't seen it yet, I dropped a trailer for mine and John's Sunday night, Monday morning show, The Gospel Truth. I'm going to go ahead and show you that trailer right now, and then we will sign out.
did
So
you
if
want
you're-
to do that again, Tokyo? Because there's no sound.
There's no sound?
Nope.
Because I muted myself. Let me try it one more time here. Technical difficulty, folks. It happens. Browser tab. Oh, because I was sharing window and not browser tab. That's why. Let's do this again. How was that?
Much
Nice.
better.
All right. And on that note, folks, I want to thank everybody who joined us in the chat and submitted questions to us. I apologize if I didn't get to name you off one by one. You all know who you are. Thank you guys so much for making this mid-season finale an awesome, awesome broadcast. And yes, Professor Brainy Specs, I did get what you were trying to say. Yeah, but I decided to use your comment as a question anyway. So thanks for dropping by. Folks, remember, you can submit your questions if you're watching this on replay, and we will get to them on the next session. You can do so by leaving a comment down below, and we will be back for the next town hall. I haven't decided on the date. I'm going the wrong way on my calendar here. We're probably looking forward to maybe Friday the 13th of January for Jason Day. So we'll probably be doing that. And on that note, folks, thank you so much for joining us on this mid-season finale of the Chaotic Town Hall. For Bird of Prey 5, John DeMarco, Janet from Another Planet, and Mr. President, I have been the Tokyo Trekker. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you again very, very soon on Jason Day 2023. Joe Luntrue, live long and prosper. Deuces, see ya, and have a very, very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, Happy Hanukkah, and all of those whatever you believe and celebrate coming.
I forgot New Year's when I was doing my holiday, but well done, Tokyo.
Got you covered.
Yeah.
See you, folks.
Hold on,
See you, everyone.
Bye.